So, you know that game, Russian Roulette? Well, it originated in a short story called The Fatalist, which was written back in 1840 and was part of a collection called A Hero of Our Time by Russian poet and writer Mikhail Lermontov. I definitely butchered that name. In the story, the protagonist, Grigory uh, Google Translate help me out here.
Grigory Alexandrovich Pechorin.
That claims that there is no predestination and places a bet in order to prove it, betting about 20 pieces of gold. A lieutenant from the dragoons of Tsar Vulik, who is a man with a passion for gambling, accepts the challenge and randomly takes one of a number of pistols of various calibers for its nail, cocks it, and pours gunpowder onto the pan. No one knows if it's loaded or not. Grigory throws a playing card into the air, and when the card lands, Vulik pulls the trigger, and the weapon doesn't fire. But when Vulik cocks the pistol again and aims it at a service cap hanging over the window, a shot rings out and smoke fills the room. If you somehow don't know by now, Russian Roulette is a game that puts the most valuable thing you have on the line: your life. The game has you and one other person go against each other. A dealer would load the gun with a few bullets, leaving a selected amount in the chamber empty. You and the other person would take turns aiming the gun at your head and pulling the trigger. Now, I have a question. What if that game of life and death was with a shotgun? Buckshot Roulette is a game that has shown great popularity over the last few months. Now, I am very aware that I am late to this. I don't really care. You start the game in a bathroom of what seems to be a party house or something, I don't really know. You're given one option: click the door and kick it open. After doing that, you are on a catwalk above what looks like a rave, with some great music. I'm not gonna lie, this thing is a banger. There is a person standing there smoking, looking down, but you can't interact with them. You're left to kick down another door, which then puts you in front of the dealer. This thing is what you will be staring at for the majority of your playthrough. A handsome fellow, if I do say so myself. Anyways, you are asked to sign a waiver, a general release of liability, with text that is too small to read. This would make it so that if you are hurt or killed in any way, they cannot be responsible, and whatever family you have can't sue. Which, if you're even here in the first place, you probably have nothing to lose. You sign with your 6-letter name, and the game starts. The gameplay of this game is simple, and the dealer explains it pretty well. There are a combination of live and blank rounds. Both you and the dealer get a set amount of lives, or charges in this case. Every time you die, you lose 1. Unless there is an item to make you lose more, but we'll get to that later. The first round is always going to start with you and the dealer at 2 charges, with 1 live round and 2 blanks. The dealer will load them in a random order. Then you are able to grab the shotgun. One of the things I think the dealer would regret the most is always letting the player go first. But it works in our favor. Sometimes.
That's the best you can do!
When you grab the shotgun, you are given 2 options: shoot the dealer or yourself. If you shoot yourself with a blank, the dealer's turn gets skipped and you get to go again. If you were to shoot yourself with a live round, however, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. If that happens, you are brought back to life from an unseen doctor. Which, by the way, that has to be the most BS thing I've ever seen. How the hell is a defibrillator gonna bring you back from a shotgun to the face? Multiple times! Sorry, got a bit off track there. Anyway, continuing, you're brought back and you lose a life. And the dealer gets his turn. Also, if you were to shoot the dealer with a blank, it would give it the turn to the dealer. Pretty obvious, but I thought I'd explain it anyway. When the dealer gets its turn, it has a 50-50 chance of either shooting itself or you. But most of the time. Once you beat the dealer, you move on to the second round. The second round is where items get introduced. At the start of the round, you are given 2 items each, and 2 more after each load. There are a total of 5 items you can get, not counting double or nothing items, which we will come back to later. The cigarettes. When you or the dealer uses them, you gain 1 charge, which can be really annoying if the dealer has multiple, which has happened to me on several occasions. The magnifying glass. This item, when used, allows you or the dealer to look inside the chamber and see if the next round is either blank or live. It's pretty much a get out of jail free card. The beer. When used, this item ejects the current round in the chamber. Pretty good for making sure you don't shoot yourself. The handsaw. This lets you do double damage, taking 2 charges instead of 1. I mentioned this earlier, kind of. When you use this item, make sure you know you're shooting a live round, because you'll end up running into this situation. And finally, the handcuffs. Other than probably being the dealer's kink, this item allows you to skip the dealer's turn, despite shooting the dealer. And even better, if you shoot yourself with a blank, it doesn't count as a turn to the dealer, so you can shoot yourself with 2 blanks, and then use the other 2 lives on the dealer. After grabbing your items, you are given 4 charges and shown 1 live round and 1 blank. Also, I forgot to mention, using the items doesn't count as a turn, so you can use as many as you like. There is also a 100% chance to get this. So, is God dead in this game? Once you beat the dealer again, you can move on to the third round. This round is where keeping your charges matters the most. Yeah, once you get down to 2 lives, your lives are gone for good. Once that thing goes down, it's game over for you. No more defibrillators, and no more blood transfusions. You get 4 items each. 6 charges. There's really not much difference here, so we could just move on to what happens if you die at all in any of the rounds. There are 2 things that can happen if you die, and it all depends on what round you're on. If you die at all before the 3rd round, you are brought back by a doctor covered in shadow, saying that you're lucky it left you with a charge. If you die in a 3rd round, however, you're sent to an afterlife of some sort, met with gates and an empty void. Now, I could go into a bunch of theories about this, but I'm not game theory. I'm not Matt, Pat, or I think, is it Tom that runs it now? That's not my strong suit. Now, if you were to win the 3rd round, you're given a briefcase filled with cash from an unknown source, supposedly the dealer. Then it fades, and it shows you driving away, briefcase and shotgun beside you. It shows your score, then fades to black. Now, you could end your playthrough there, but you remember me mentioning double or nothing earlier, right? If you were to go back to the game, you'd see a bottle of pills. If you click on them, you're given an option to consume them or leave them alone. When you click yes, you are sent back to the bathroom. You kick the door open as usual, but the person is gone. You go to the dealer's room, and you are once again asked to sign the waiver. Everything about the gameplay is pretty much the same, except for a couple of differences. First of all, there are now 4 new items. Expired medicine. It's a more dangerous version of the cigarettes. This item can give you 2 charges instead of 1, but can also cost you 1 charge as well. If you have less than 2 charges, it's better to just not use this to avoid putting yourself in a worse situation. Inverter. This item lets you switch the current round in the chamber. For example, if there was a blank and you use the inverter, that blank will now be a live round. The burner phone. This item will tell you whether a specific round is live or blank. You can use this to plan ahead if you can keep track of the total shells in the chamber. Adrenaline. This item has one of the best effects among the possible items. You can steal a specific item from the dealer's side of the table. Downside is you have to use it immediately, so be careful. You also can't take another adrenaline from the dealer's side. Everything in this variation of the base game is randomized. The charges, the rounds, and the number of items are all random. The items have a limit of 5, so don't fill up all your slots in the first 3 seconds of the game. I think I said all I needed to about the game. It's really good for a $3 game. I strongly suggest you play this game for yourself. Anyways, that concludes this video. Please let me know if of anything I might have forgotten to talk about, and give me suggestions on how I could improve. This took me way too long to do. Bye bye!